Yo, welcome to Philosopher's Stoned. Now, tonight we're gonna get real scientific. I went down a deep rabbit hole with this shit. And a lot of the words that I read, I didn't understand. I had to look them up and figure out what they were trying to say. These are all from scientists and physicists and all those cool titles of the scientific community. So tonight we are going to get into Mars and the nuclear attacks that happened in the Martian atmosphere at some point, probably in the very distant past. So a lot of this shit, if not all of it, is taken from the research done by John Brandenburg, who is straight up a plasma physicist. His credibility is definitely prominent, like there's no doubt about it. This guy's a real scientist. He's worked on space plasma technologies, nuclear fusion, advanced space propulsion, and literally invented the microwave electrothermal plasma thruster. His book, Death on Mars, is where a lot of this shit comes from, and it's a super deep, good read if you are into this type of shit. So about 180 million years ago, 2 nuclear bombs went off in some kind of space attack on the 2 cities on Mars. They are known to us as Cydonia and Galaxis Chaos. Some say Cydonia Mensa, whatever. Were almost completely wiped out by 2 hydrogen bombs. Both sites are radiation hotspots which were observed from space by gamma-ray spectrometers in potassium and thorium, which is how the gamma-ray tech logs the data that it's taking in. Here's where it gets super scientific and kind of hard to understand. I'll try my best though, but you gotta bear with me. You might have to listen to it and look up the words that I'm saying. The reason why we believe Mars was nuked is because of the isotopes of xenon on Mars. Mars has enormous traces of uranium and thorium fission. This pattern of xenon in the atmosphere is like a fingerprint of a weapon signature. The atmosphere bears the results of a fast, massive neutron event, which there is no known natural process in which this would occur, so it had to be some other type of process like an attack. The only process known to create this pattern is a fission-boosted hydrogen bomb, which is triggered by a small atomic bomb to set off the super-fast neutrons that split the uranium ore, which is exactly what determines the boost of the damage of the bomb. This is what causes the enormous load of radioactive fallout surrounding the blast of one of these bombs. Chernobyl, for instance. The land is ruined, and it's not just in one little spot. It's a very big circumference of the area. The traces of radioactive iodine or strontium-90, both of these are known to cause cancer and death. So that's what they're talking about when you're exposed to too much radioactive shit. These are the things that fucking kill you. Now, according to Brandenburg, they were airburst bombs, which is why they left no craters. The 2 hotspots are covered in trinitite glass, which is slightly radioactive still after millions of years. Now, airburst bombs is where it would explode above the surface, but still cause a bunch of damage on the ground. In the Libyan desert, the Libyan glass that looks like trinitite seems to be from a bigger explosion like the ones we're discovering on Mars. So the trinitite glass, if you remember from the other Ancient Nuclear War episode, it's found in deserts where nuclear blasts went off. This is another scientific domino effect where the minerals and stuff in the sand turn into this type of glass. And we can't forget about the water on Mars. The northern polar ice cap is like water ice. used to have an ocean. There's dried up river channels. It used to be a lot like Earth, just rampant with water. So at some point, Mars had a shitload of oceans or rivers or just straight up masses of water. I'm not really sure what they called them on Mars. I don't know if they call them lakes or ponds or oceans or what. All this water information that I'm saying is confirmed by several sources, so you can go look it up yourself if you don't believe me. Sorry, but we're not done with the science shit. So, the fourth most abundant gas in the Martian atmosphere is oxygen, which scientifically should not be there. There's also carbon dioxide and nitrogen, which is essential for plant life. Also, argon, which is like helium, it's used in light bulbs here on Earth. Apparently, the oxygen is from photosynthesis, meaning there was plant life at one point, or the atmosphere still has the ability to sustain some form of plant life. Again, a lot like planet Earth. Don't you worry, I'm not done. Now, Mars is covered in ammonium perchlorate, which is literally fucking rocket fuel, mainly found in military rockets or fireworks. Sodium perchlorate, which is a very rare chemical in nature. The only place that it's found naturally is in this desert region of Chile called the Atacama Desert. They find the perchlorate mixed with nitrate and speculate that it's made by some type of bacteria there. The Atacama Desert is very Mars-like in look and feel. It's a red fucking desert, so it looks like it belongs on Mars. So now I gotta mention the remnants of life on Mars, which is actually releasing methane gas in the Mars atmosphere, which on Earth is a result of some kind of decay. In this case, the decay would be coming from under Mars' outer surface. So somewhere beneath the surface, there is something, an organism of some type, releasing this methane gas. Parts of the Martian surface where there's exposed layers. So this methane gas being released is metaphorically a flare coming from the Martian life that either survived by going underground or just the remains of dead Martians buried under red sand and debris and whatever catastrophic damage that the bombs did to them. So it could be rotting Martian bodies under there releasing that methane gas. So at this point in my notes, I've gone over the two locations and the two explosions, right? So you understand there's two locations, two hot spots, and there was two explosions. Now, the first one is the one I mentioned, Cydonia Mensa. It was seen by the Viking 1 orbiter, and this is a civilization which embodies the structures that resemble the Olmec faces, if you've ever heard about the faces on Mars. So they were respectively a similar primitive culture like the Mayans, Aztecs, or Egyptian civilizations, and some higher tech alien race came along and dropped these nukes on them. I'm not sure why. The faces on Mars are super similar to the Olmec heads with helmets. So a higher species came and dropped these bombs, obliterated the Martian primitive civilians and the civilizations, and all we have left is these faces that appear to be structures built by said civilizations. There's also a pyramid in the Cydonia region. I'll show a picture so you can see for yourself. It's real interesting there. It's like the 5 points. I don't know. That's seems like it could be some type of pyramid. Now the other hotspot is called Galaxious Chaos, located in the Sabrinia Quadrangle, which is described as a broken landscape. It used to be known as the Utopia site, and it was discovered by the second Viking lander. It looked similar to Cydonia Mensa, so they checked it out. From the images, it looks like the architecture of a city with walls and buildings and roads and whatnot. It looks like a bird's eye view of some type of architecture that maybe some type of coliseum or a temple. I really don't know. Are you ready to get into the galaxy's most wanted list? Let's talk about the possible culprits of this Martian nuclear attack. The Pleiadians. None other than the Pleiadians. I always knew they were up to something. The reasons for an obviously bombed landmass on Mars could be that the Pleiadians, who have always been at war with the Draco reptilians, could have located a Draco base on the Mars surface. Apparently, they didn't mean for this much damage to be done to Mars, and that is why there's so many Pleiadian starseeds who have embodied themselves in humans or among humans on Earth, and they're here to protect us from a similar attack, like the attack they struck on Mars. So I don't really understand that. I want to meet a Pleiadian so I can ask him the truth. Tell me the truth, goddamn Pleiadians. I think I'm going to cover the Pleiadians pretty soon, just in full, because there's just a lot of shit on them people. So that pretty much fucking does it for Mars and the nuclear attacks that destroyed the Martian civilizations. John Brandenburg is a hell of a researcher and an author, and I really suggest you check him out. Listen to the podcasts he does, all the interviews, read his books. The guy is a fucking encyclopedia of space info. So, thank you for watching this very scientifically informed Philosopher's Stone episode. This probably hurt my brain the most to research, but hey, I'm glad that I did it, and I'm glad that I got it out of the fucking way, you know what I mean? Goddamn, some of those words are just fucking so much to say. So yeah, thank you for watching Philosopher's Stone, and if you join the Space Force and they want to go to Mars and fuck it up even more, tell Elon Musk to eat a dick!